أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على خاتم الأنبياء أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. When we look at the title for today, the practical implementation of the manhaj and the methodology of the Salaf, we should always go back first and foremost to see who were the Salaf and how did they act. And today, sometimes it becomes just like a banner, it's like a title, it's like a way to separate people. When in reality, following the Salaf should unite us, because all of us believe in the Quran, all of us believe in the Sunnah, all of us believe that the best of this ummah, the best of creation after the Anbiya, the best of the insan after the Anbiya are the Salaf al-Salihin, the Sahaba, those that Allah honored to be the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, and those who saw them and followed them in righteousness in the next generation and the one after that. But sometimes people forget who the Salaf actually were. They start to think as if somebody walking around today is the criterion for who the Salaf were. That's not reality. The reality is the Salaf were those Sahaba and Tabi'un and Taba Tabi'un from the Salihin, from the Tabi'un and Taba Tabi'un, that followed the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that protected this religion, that sacrificed for this religion. And we all should love them. We should love Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman and Ali and Hassan and Hussein radiyallahu anhum, and those great A'imma like Abu Hanifa and Malik and Shafi and Ahmad. May Allah be pleased with all of them. And that love should be practical. And it amazes me when somebody talks about loving the Prophet ﷺ, but then when a sunnah is established from Sahih, a hadith, they would reject it. When somebody talks about loving the Prophet ﷺ, but their way to show that is the mawlid, the bid'ah, innovated hundreds of years later. When Rasulullah ﷺ didn't do it, the best of the generations of Sahaba didn't do it, the best of those who followed them like the four A'imma didn't do it. Love should be through obedience. If my son loves me, first and foremost, he should obey me. If my son disobeys me, he could tell me I love you all day long, I'm not going to accept it. If my wife loves me, first and foremost, she should obey me. If I tell my wife, don't go outside, and she looks at me, walks out and says, I love you, that would be like adding insult to injury. So when we love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we obey Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When we love the Sahaba, when we love the A'imma, then we follow their way. In da'wah, what does that mean? Today people think da'wah means that I'm going to sit around my garage and I'm going to make videos where I'm going to make fun of Muslims and I'm going to find faults in Muslims and I'm going to talk bad about ulama, and this is da'wah. MashaAllah. This is a new definition of da'wah. Not something we saw from the Salaf of this ummah. Tufail bin Amr al-Dawsi, radiyallahu anhu, Sahabi, he was very intelligent, and he was very articulate. He was a leader of his people. And when I'm going to give you two stories from the Sahaba today, and that's going to be the lesson. Because that's the actual Salaf, that's the Sahaba. They are the ones that we talk about following, and we talk about being from those who follow the Salaf al-Salihin. He came to Mecca to perform the Hajj or Umrah, to do the rituals. And this is in the time of Jahiliyyah, even though the Nabuwah, the Prophet started at that time, Mecca was still filled with idols. This is before Fath al-Makkah, this before Hijrah. When he came, the Quraysh, they greeted him outside. They came outside of Mecca and he was surprised. Because usually he was a leader in his people, he was respected, so the Quraysh would show him respect. But they didn't come outside of Mecca to greet him. So when they came out, he was surprised. And they told him, we're just going to warn you. There's a man here, and here, this is the warnings, the clarifications. Started early. Subhanallah, I was safe from everybody's tongues until I booked my ticket to the UK. So he was coming in, and they came to warn him. We're going to warn you. Why? We warn you against who? Against the best of mankind, the Prophet ﷺ. But they made up lies. They told him he's a magician, he'll put magic on you, he's this, don't listen to him, and he's turned people against each other, he's causing fitna and this and this and this. So obviously, not knowing any better, he decided, I should be careful. So he put cotton in his ears so he doesn't hear. And he's still going, doing his thing. And when he saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and there's difference of narrations, I'm kind of combining between them, he continued and didn't want to hear it until some of the cotton fell and he heard a few words. And then he thought to himself, you know what, I'm an intelligent person. I'm a leader in my people. People come to me for advice. Why am I so afraid to just listen to somebody? I mean, if what he says is good, I'll accept it. If it's not good, I will reject it. This is not, I'm not a child. I'm not so foolish that suddenly just hearing is going to mess me up. No, I'm a man. I'm intelligent. Otherwise, why am I respected why are they asking my counsel and my advice? If I can't even differentiate between right and wrong, then I shouldn't be advising anybody else. So he decides to hear the Prophet ﷺ. And when he heard the Prophet ﷺ, he realized this to be the truth. And he said, I have listened to the kahin, the ones who fortune tell, because in Jahiliyyah, in the time before Islam, that was very common amongst the Arab. He said, and I've listened to people who are shu'ara, people who are poets. I have listened to people who do magic. I've heard their talk. And this man is not of any of them. These words are not of any of them.
يطع الله والرسول فأولئك مع الذين أنعم الله عليهم من النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين وحسن أولئك رفيقا.